Imagine a world where winter never ends, a land where glaciers stretch like white walls across continents, where entire forests vanished under ice, and where survival is not measured in comfort, but in fire, food, and faith. This was Earth during the Ice Age, a brutal stage in human evolution when prehistoric humans were nothing more than fragile creatures standing on the edge of extinction. And yet, against all odds, they endured. But how? How did a species with no claws, no thick fur, and no massive fangs manage to survive when even the mightiest Ice Age animals, giant mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and woolly rhinoceroses, eventually vanished forever? Was it sheer luck, or was there something hidden deep within the human story that allowed us to triumph where others fell? In this documentary, we will embark on a journey back tens of thousands of years to the frozen world of the last ice age. We will follow the footsteps of Neanderthals as they hunted in snowbound Europe, trace the migrations of Homo sapiens crossing deadly tundras, and uncover the silent clues left in caves, bones, and forgotten tools. What you are about to see is not only a story of survival, it is a story of transformation. Because the Ice Age did more than test our ancestors. It shaped the very essence of who we are. It forged the instincts, the creativity, and the resilience that define humanity today. And yet, mysteries remain. Did early humans thrive because of cooperation, or was it ruthless competition? Were lost civilizations born in the shadows of retreating glaciers? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, could another ice age return? And if it did, would we still have the strength to endure it? Join us as we journey into the depths of prehistory. This is human evolution in the Ice Age, survival against extinction.
The Ice Age, known scientifically as the Pleistocene epoch, was not a single endless winter, but a cycle of advancing and retreating glaciers that began over 2.5 million years ago and ended only about 11,700 years ago. During this time, colossal ice sheets swallowed entire continents, locking up seawater and exposing vast land bridges. It was in this frozen theater that the drama of human evolution unfolded. Archaeology and paleontology reveal that multiple human species walked the Earth during these icy millennia. Neanderthals, robust and cold-adapted, roamed Europe and Western Asia. Denisovans, known only from a handful of fossil fragments and genetic traces, thrived somewhere in the mysterious reaches of Siberia and Central Asia. And then, of course, there was us, Homo sapiens, emerging from Africa, carrying not only spears and fire, but imagination, language, and art. The evidence left behind tells us a vivid story. In caves like Shanidar in Iraq, archaeologists found Neanderthal skeletons buried with pollen, suggesting they may have placed flowers in graves, an early sign of symbolic thought. In France, at Chauvet Cave, walls painted 30,000 years ago come alive with lions, mammoths, and rhinos, echoes of a prehistoric world where humans shared the landscape with powerful beasts. But life was not an endless gallery of art and ritual. It was a daily battle for survival. Ice Age Europe, for example, was more like Siberia than the rolling green continent we know today. Temperatures plunged, resources were scarce, and predators lurked at every shadow. The arrival at each glacial advance forced human groups to adapt or die. Scientists have pieced together climate records from ice cores in Greenland and Antarctica. These frozen cylinders of ancient atmosphere show dramatic swings in temperature, sometimes warming or cooling within just a human lifetime. Imagine living in a world where your children might grow up under entirely different conditions than you did, where the very air and earth could change faster than you could migrate. And yet human resilience shone through. Archaeological finds show that prehistoric humans developed specialized tools: stone blades sharp enough to butcher a mammoth, bone needles to stitch warm clothing, and hearths carefully built to conserve heat. Even the domestication of fire itself, mastered perhaps hundreds of thousands of years earlier, was perfected in the Ice Age, becoming not only a source of warmth, but a center of social life, storytelling, and planning. Still, the Ice Age was not kind to all. Fossil records reveal a grim truth. While humans survived, many giants did not. The saber-toothed cat, the woolly rhinoceros, and eventually even the mammoth fell to extinction, leaving open ecological niches that humans exploited. Some scientists argue that the extinction of these Ice Age animals was accelerated by human hunting. Others point to rapid climate shifts. Perhaps, as with so many great mysteries, the answer lies somewhere in between. What is certain is this: the Ice Age was not merely the background to the human story. It was the crucible that forged us. Without the constant threat of freezing nights, empty stomachs, and relentless predators, perhaps human evolution would have stalled. Instead, our ancestors innovated, cooperated, and dreamed in ways no other species could. The archaeological record whispers one undeniable truth. Humanity's survival during the Ice Age was not guaranteed. It was earned, step by step, tool by tool, fire by fire.
Picture this. The sun never rises high above the horizon. The wind slices like knives across a barren plain. A small group of prehistoric humans huddled together, wrapped in animal hides stitched with bone needles. Their breath forms clouds in the freezing air as they move silently, stalking a herd of woolly mammoths. For our ancestors, this was not an extraordinary adventure. It was daily life during the Ice Age. To survive, humans had to think like hunters, builders, and storytellers all at once. Every step was a gamble between life and death. The mammoth hunt, for instance, was more than a quest for food. It was survival insurance. A single kill could provide meat, fat, bone, and hide for an entire clan. Archaeological evidence at sites like Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic shows circles of mammoth bones arranged as the foundations of huts. These were not just shelters, but monuments of endurance, testament to the ingenuity of prehistoric humans who transformed death into architecture. But hunting mammoths was perilous. Imagine facing a creature towering over 4 meters tall, weighing as much as 10 tons. Spears tipped with flint were all that stood between humans and being trampled into the frozen mud. Survival demanded cooperation. Hunters formed tight-knit groups, strategizing like generals before a battle. One clan would drive the herd into a narrow valley, while others waited in ambush with spears ready. Victory belonged not to the strongest individual, but to the best collaborators. This reliance on cooperation shaped human evolution as much as the icy climate itself. Unlike saber-toothed cats or cave lions who survived alone or in small groups, prehistoric humans thrived because they learned to depend on each other. Around campfires, they shared food and warmth, but more importantly, they shared knowledge. Stories of hunts, warnings of danger, even the locations of distant rivers, all were passed down through the spoken word. In a world ruled by ice, language was the greatest survival tool of all. Consider the Neanderthals, our closest relatives. Stocky, broad-shouldered, and physically powerful, they were perfectly adapted to cold climates. They used fire, crafted tools, and even cared for their injured. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, one skeleton shows signs of a man who lived for years despite severe injuries, including a withered arm and blindness in one eye. The fact that he survived meant his community must have cared for him. Compassion itself became a survival trait. And yet, Neanderthals vanished about 40,000 years ago, while Homo sapiens endured. Why? Archaeologists debate fiercely. Some argue it was competition. Modern humans had more versatile tools, broader diets, and perhaps more complex social networks. Others suggest interbreeding, which genetic evidence now confirms. Today, every non-African human carries a small trace of Neanderthal DNA. In a sense, the Neanderthals never truly disappeared. They live within us.
Beyond hunting, Ice Age humans faced an equally terrifying enemy, the cold itself. Temperatures in glacial Europe could drop to -20 degrees Celsius. Without modern houses, heating, or storage, survival required innovation. Bone awls and needles allowed humans to stitch tight clothing from hides. Fire pits were dug carefully to shield flames from the wind. Storage pits carved into permafrost preserved meat for months. Every act was a calculated defense against an unforgiving climate. But perhaps the most extraordinary evidence of survival comes not from weapons or shelters, but from art. Cave paintings in places like Lascaux and Chavaux are more than decoration. They may have been rituals, hunting magic, or ways to bind the tribe together in shared meaning. When you live in a world where extinction feels only one cold night away, symbols and stories become as essential as spears and fire. Thus, the Ice Age did more than test humans physically. It forced them to evolve culturally, spiritually, and socially. Each painted bison on a cave wall, each shard of flint shaped into a blade, each fire kept alive through a blizzard, tells us the same story. Humans did not merely endure the Ice Age, they became human because of it.
The Ice Age shaped humanity in ways both visible and invisible, but the exact story is still clouded in mystery. Archaeologists and scientists continue to debate some of the most fundamental questions. Why did Homo sapiens survive while others vanished? Was it intelligence, luck, or something we have yet to uncover? Take the Neanderthals, for example. For decades, they were portrayed as brutish cavemen, incapable of the spark of modern humans. But discoveries over the last half-century have shattered that stereotype. They buried their dead, crafted jewelry from eagle talons, and even mixed pigments, signs of symbolic thought. Some researchers now argue that Neanderthals may have had spoken language as complex as ours. If that's true, then why did they fade into extinction while we endured? One theory points to population size. Genetic studies suggest that Homo sapiens had larger, more interconnected groups, while Neanderthals lived in smaller, isolated bands. In times of crisis, small groups collapse more easily, while large networks can exchange knowledge, tools, and even genes. Survival in this sense was a numbers game. Another debate centers on climate. The Ice Age was not one long freeze, but a series of brutal swings between glacial and warmer periods. Around 40,000 years ago, sudden climate shifts devastated ecosystems across Europe. Dense forests gave way to open tundra, and the large prey animals Neanderthals depended on began to vanish. Homo sapiens, with a broader diet that included fish, birds, and plants, adapted better to changing resources. Here, flexibility may have been the key to survival. Yet, a third perspective raises a darker possibility: direct competition. Evidence from sites in France and Spain show overlapping timelines of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Did modern humans outcompete them, driving them to extinction? Some archaeologists argue that cultural innovations, like throwing spears and bows, gave sapiens a deadly edge. Others whisper of violent encounters, even genocide. But the truth is elusive. We find stone points and scattered bones, but not the full story of how two human species interacted on a frozen battlefield. Beyond Neanderthals, there is the puzzle of Denisovans. Known from only a finger bone, a few teeth, and traces of DNA, Denisovans remain ghosts in the archaeological record. Yet their genes live on in modern populations of Asia and Oceania. How could a people so widespread, so genetically influential, leave behind so little evidence? Did they build settlements that vanished under ice and time? Were they travelers across landscapes now drowned by rising seas after the Ice Age ended? Their story teases us, half revealed, half erased. And then there is the question of the megafauna, the mammoths, saber-tooths, and giant ground sloths that once ruled the Ice Age world. Why did they vanish while humans remained? Some scientists argue that humans hunted them relentlessly, a theory known as the overkill hypothesis. Others point to climate warming at the end of the Pleistocene, which destroyed their habitats. Perhaps it was both, a deadly combination of human ingenuity and natural change. Whatever the cause, the disappearance of these giants left humans as the last survivors of an ancient ecological order. Even more provocative are the whispers of lost civilizations. As glaciers melted, sea levels rose by more than 100 meters, drowning vast coastal plains.
Could there have been Ice Age cultures advanced enough to build structures now hidden beneath the sea? Sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, an intricate temple complex dating back 12,000 years, suggest that humans were organizing at levels far earlier than once believed. Some researchers wonder if the Ice Age erased whole chapters of human history that we have only begun to rediscover. Ultimately, the Ice Age story is not finished. Every new discovery, an ivory carving from Siberia, a footprint fossilized in New Mexico, a strand of DNA from ancient bones, adds to the picture, but also raises new questions. Were humans truly alone in their triumph, or did we inherit ideas and genes from those who vanished? Was survival a matter of intelligence, or was it also cruelty, luck, and relentless adaptation? The Ice Age is a riddle written in ice, bones, and fire. And though we have uncovered much, the most haunting truth is this: we still do not fully know why we survived and others did not.
When we look back at the Ice Age, it is tempting to see it only as distant history, frozen bones and cave paintings sealed in time. But in reality, the struggles of prehistoric humans echo in every one of us today. Their story is not just about the past. It is a mirror reflecting our present and our future. Consider resilience. Our ancestors did not survive the Ice Age because they were the strongest animals on Earth. In fact, compared to mammoths or cave lions, humans were fragile, slow, and vulnerable. What saved them was adaptability, the ability to change when the environment demanded it. When the tundra replaced the forest, they shifted diets. When the cold deepened, they stitched tighter clothing. When a mammoth hunt failed, they turned to fish or berries. Flexibility was survival. Isn't that still true today? In a world facing climate change, pandemics, and shifting economies, the lesson is clear. Those who endure are not the strongest, but the most adaptable. Another lesson lies in cooperation. Archaeology tells us that Ice Age survival was not a solitary feat. It was the tribe, the clan, the community that ensured survival. Around the fire, people shared warmth, food, and knowledge. Compassion kept the weak alive. Teaching passed down hunting skills. Stories carried wisdom across generations. Now, in our hyper-connected age, it's easy to believe we stand alone. But just like our Ice Age ancestors, our survival still depends on each other. The global challenges we face, from environmental crises to technological upheaval, require cooperation on a scale our ancestors could never imagine. Yet, the principle remains the same. Together, we endure. There is also the lesson of imagination. Prehistoric humans painted animals on cave walls not because it helped them physically survive, but because it gave them meaning. Those images, carved and painted in flickering firelight, were acts of hope. They transformed fear into art, chaos into story, survival into identity. Today, imagination still shapes our survival. Science, technology, and innovation are born from the same spark that lit the caves of Lascaux. To endure the future, we must not only adapt and cooperate, we must also imagine. Imagine new ways of living, new solutions to problems, new possibilities for humanity itself. And finally, there is humility. The Ice Age reminds us that survival was never guaranteed. Entire species stronger than us vanished into extinction. The mammoths, the saber-toothed cats, even the Neanderthals, all of them once seemed eternal, and yet they disappeared. We survived, yes, but not because we were destined to. We survived because of fragile chains of choice, chance, and change. That humility is something we often forget. We live in skyscrapers, command global networks, and peer into galaxies with telescopes. And yet, just like our ancestors, we remain vulnerable to forces beyond our control. A shift in climate, a virus, or a natural disaster can remind us how thin the line of survival truly is. The Ice Age whispers to us across millennia, you are here because you adapted, you are here because you worked together, you are here because you dared to imagine. And so the story of human evolution in the Ice Age is not only archaeology, it is a survival manual written in bone and fire.
It tells us what we must remember if we are to face the challenges ahead.
The Ice Age was a crucible. It froze forests, buried valleys, and erased entire species from the Earth. Yet from that frozen silence emerged something extraordinary: us. Our ancestors were not guaranteed survivors. They were small bands of prehistoric humans clinging to warmth in a world of endless cold. And yet, through resilience, cooperation, and imagination, they endured where others fell. The Neanderthals vanished, the mammoths disappeared, but the line of Homo sapiens pressed on, step by step, fire by fire, story by story, until it reached us, standing here today. When we look at their legacy, it is more than archaeology or human evolution. It is a reminder of our fragile triumph. Every tool, every cave painting, every burial site speaks of people who refused to surrender to extinction, and in their refusal, they shaped what it means to be human. But the Ice Age also leaves us with haunting questions. Did our survival come at the cost of others? Were we simply more adaptable or more ruthless? And perhaps the greatest question of all, if another Ice Age came tomorrow with all our technology and power, would we still have the strength to endure? The story of humanity in the Ice Age is not finished. It is ongoing, etched in our DNA and whispered in our bones. To understand who we are, we must never forget where we came from. So, I leave you with this thought. Do we really know everything about our ancestors, or is the Ice Age still hiding secrets that could change our understanding of ourselves forever? If you enjoyed this journey into prehistory, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with those who love exploring the hidden chapters of our past. Join us next time as we uncover more mysteries of ancient humans, lost civilizations, and the deep history that shaped our world. This is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning.